Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who kept us going for over 350 episodes. We're getting close to 4. I know we are, but
yeah, we're real close. You're going to be able to. You're going to have over a year of content.
Yeah, over a year. You already are over a year if you listen to one episode.
You could listen to one episode a day, but
episode a day.
When we get to 2 episodes a day, that's when shit gets real. That's when we get crazy and we change everything. But yes, thank you to our patrons, and as always, we have a dude of the week to thank. But if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is P1 Falchion, and he's a relatively new dude. Thank you, P1 Falchion.
I feel like we're pronouncing that wrong. Falchion. I don't know. I always see that in games.
Falchion, like the weapon.
Right, it is. I know it's a weapon. I get that. I just am I pronouncing this right? I don't know.
You know what? I actually think I'm right on this one, but I have no idea. And I'll Google it later and feel like an asshole. P1 Falchion, if we're fucking that up, let us know. But in addition, we have a sponsor to thank. And of course, I'm talking about Manscaped. They're the guys that take care of you tip to taint and now head to toe. They've recently launched what is now my favorite product by them, and it's the Beard Hedger Pro. The thing that makes it sort of special in my eyes is that you can kind of on the fly. It's got this wheel here that lets you adjust by like 0.5 millimeter each turn.
Yeah, which my old ass beard trimmer, they don't have that.
No, you got to like unclip, clip. You got to carry all the clips around. No, this is way easier, and I super love it. Actually, one of the reasons why I really love that, especially because it's by like 0.5 millimeter adjustment, is of course the sideburn to head trim. For those of us that keep it real short, for no reason, no apparent reason at all. It's hard to get the sideburn to match into your head hair, and it just looks a little weird sometimes. This makes it super easy, and I've now used it once a week to keep my beard at the same length. Which again, you've
got like that Chad beard going now.
I've got a clean beard going on. I look great. But yeah, I've used it for the last 4 weeks, at least once a week, and it's still full charge. So it holds a charge for a long ass time. And in addition to that, the Beard Hedger Pro kit comes with your beard oil, your beard shampoo, which I have now used. My beard was long enough that I checked it out. It's nice. It's a nice neutral scent.
Is it the same scent as the other?
It's not. It's a much lighter scent. I imagine probably because if you use the same scent, it'd be too strong on your face all the time. The beard oil is totally neutral, feels really nice, and then you just brush it. You just brush it right in. Feels good. Now, if you have a really short beard, this can kind of be I think it still sort of feels good, but it can be a little bit scratchy if it's too short.
That comes with both a brush and a comb, right, for the whole kit?
Brush and a comb. For me, I'm using the comb on my mustache only, because then it also comes with some super sharp scissors to trim your mustache and stuff, or get any errant hairs. It's a really good kit. This is my favorite thing they have made. And that's coming from someone who wears their boxers probably 3 times a week. I think I have 3 pairs of them now. But we're big fans of the products. And if you're interested in checking out any of these products, please head over to manscaped.com. Use our code YoVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's code YoVG, all caps, at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Your balls will thank you.
Yeah.
And so will your face balls now.
If you got like that crazy double chin going on.
Look, I got I have that slight cleft chin that gives me just a little ball sack.
How do these get up here?
Get right in there, you know. So it's been a day of announcements.
Yeah, and like right as we're about to record, we got breaking news as well that Mortal Kombat 12 just got announced.
Yeah.
So
is it right on breaking news, or is it a weird leak that happened? Because
it's both, because like it's an official source that said it. It came from Warner Brothers themselves in a conference call to investors, who just flat out said, "Yeah, we got Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. We'll get to that, and we got Mortal Kombat 12 coming out this year, both with like big long like big planned whatever big business term they say. We have big launch events planned or big like oh okay."
Is this how you wanted to find out? Is this the awesome
like
reveal?
No footage, no logo, no trailers, no nothing. Just kind of like. And again, I wanted to make a whole episode about this regarding to this and the Zelda leaks and all the other shit about like companies. Like we started this podcast, we always talked about how like they announced games too early, and Square was really guilty of this. They announce a game 5 years later, they like re-reveal it. Literally 5 years with like Final Fantasy 7, and like less said about 15 the better. But like now we're on the other end of that spectrum, and like you had a good point. Do you think maybe they're doing this? They're holding shit so close to their chest so long because they know people have the memories of fucking goldfishes because of the TikTok generation. Yes, I'm an old man yelling at the cloud right now. But like maybe they just feel like if they don't give info close to launch, people just fucking forget and move on to something else, which might be fair. It might be fair.
Could
be. But it is leading to problems where like you have such a dearth of information. Either the game's known, but either the game is announced, but nothing is known about it. And now we're 3 months from launch. Shit leaks in the art book that's going into the fucking retail packaging in Zelda's case. And you have MK12, which they've been silent for 4 fucking years, and they won't know what NetherRealm Studios been doing. And now it's just like, well, their game's about to come out within the next year. So the investors are told it is.
Yeah, they have to know it's coming.
So.
Well, I think it's a mixture of problems. One, game development is such a long process now.
Yeah.
Not to compare it to the 90s because it's sort of apples to oranges now, but in the 90s it took a year.
Yeah.
Like they'd bust it out in a year. Some games there's some big games that were done in under 6 months, and sometimes with teams that were like 5 people. But I do think it's that. I think it is that all these game companies are now investor-driven companies. Mm-hmm. So I think investors feel like leaks are bad more than devs do. Like, I don't think leaks necessarily, it depends on the type of leak, but the leak that you have a game coming isn't bad. I don't think it's bad to say like, hey, here's the games coming out in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
That's different than like a leak where it's like, here's the early build models or something.
Yeah, like the GTA 6 thing where like footage got leaked of a really early build.
Which everybody's forgotten about now.
Yes, yes, they have.
Nobody fucking talks about it. Nobody cares. I do think
It was GTA 6 though that one guy got clowned on by the entire game industry.
Right. Everybody made fun of him. Yeah.
Yeah. Every developer in the world came in and dunked on this guy.
Well, yeah,
if you know anything about game development like I do, visuals are the first things they lock down. I'm like, no, they're not. What? No, they're not. You absolute fucking moron.
I think one that was a lot of fun, and that was the dunking was probably more of a big deal than the leak itself.
Yeah. Well, I just loved when the developers came in and showed their images. Like, here's an early build of all these games where like, here's what Control looked like. Or like, my favorite was Horizon. Here's what our T-Rex looked like in the early build. This is little Lego, like plasticky looking, like he's just a bunch of boxes.
Yeah.
This little boxy T-Rex. I'm like, yeah, that's what the T-Rex looked like before we actually did anything. It's just the hit boxes.
I wonder if the whole leak, like playing it so close to your chest now, is because we're in a world where there aren't big events to build up to anymore. And so they know that 3 months before their game comes out, there's going to be a direct or a state of play or something. And so they're playing it really close to the chest to try and have as big of a shock and awe buzz.
Yeah, well, that kind of that leads a little more into this where like Sony or not Sony, but like Microsoft and Nintendo both had a direct in January and February, and they both had a big shadow drop. Hi-Fi Rush, shadow dropped, and then Metroid Prime Remastered shadow dropped, and Sony did not have a shadow drop today.
Right, and we were optimistic that maybe they were going to pull something off.
Yeah.
And that's why we held off recording until today. And granted, I know I was told like, oh, that's not going to happen, like by the cynics in our listeners. But I do think that having that hope and maybe how impressed everybody was by them having a shadow drop, maybe that is what's driving this, like, close to the chest freak out about leaks. You know, there's no news until some, but like with a huge game, okay. If they did shadow drop MK12 at the State of Play today, say they pulled that off, say they were just like, I mean, that would have been sort of incredible. It would have been mind blowing. But also, what is the likelihood of that ever happening? A game like Hi-Fi Rush can happen because nobody's expecting that game.
I think in the case of Hi-Fi Rush and Metroid Prime, like, they benefited from a shadow drop because these are not going to be. They were never going to be the best-selling games in their portfolio. Like, they were never like
right.
But the thing is that because imagine if Hi-Fi Rush was announced in January and then it came out in April, right? 3 months later. I don't think the sales would have been anywhere near as big for it.
Right. Yeah.
I think
it's the playable now aspect.
Yeah. It's the fact that, like, here's this game. And like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. Play it now. Play the whole fucking thing now.
Right.
And I think that pushed people to purchase the game. Word of mouth, like, was good because it was a good game. It needed to be a good game. But like, even if the game came out in April and had good word of mouth, I don't think it would have gotten the sales in April that it would have gotten because it shadow dropped. And maybe this is the reason for Metroid Prime Remaster. I mean, you'd think it's a big game, but I have to kind of remind, all the Nintendrones over and over. I'm like, Metroid never sold that well. Like, we're talking about a series that like maybe sold 3 million on its best fucking day,
which isn't absolutely awful, but it isn't enough.
It's not
to
awful, but
another one.
Like when you're seeing 30 million sales for Smash Brothers and Zelda and Mario and 50 million for Mario Kart and 12 million for Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion 3 sold like 12 million copies. Yes, Metroid does look a little like pale in comparison, sales numbers wise. But I think Metroid Prime doing what it did, which I still don't know why Nintendo didn't release it on the anniversary last November, 3 months ago or 4 months ago. I don't know why. I really don't know why they didn't do it on the anniversary of the original game's release. But looking at it this way, as a remaster, hey, it's available today.
Right.
It's only $40. I think a lot of people, myself included, were like, oh shit, yeah, I'm rushing to download that. I'm going to check that out. And I think they probably got more sales off. They might have gotten more sales off of Metroid Prime Remastered, shadow dropping it in February than they would have announcing it and releasing it in November last year. Maybe.
Right. It's an easy win.
Yeah, it's an easy win. Yeah, it was. So I think maybe that's where, if anything, these are just going to encourage shadow drops more because they're just sort of like, they seem to be like really pushing up these games, which would be well received, but I think these are pushing higher sales numbers doing it this way. And maybe that's the thinking going forward. They wouldn't do that for MK12 because MK12 is a game that's going to sell 10 million copies.
Right.
Like whenever it releases. It's one of those, like, it doesn't matter when it releases, it will sell 10 million copies kind of game.
I wonder if this is going to, the reaction to 2 shadow drops that everybody was like, oh, hell yeah, and excited about. I wonder if that's going to start a trend of some like mid-level game getting shadow dropped every single time. That'd be kind of a cool trend to see for a while.
Well, I mean, if the games are as
good
as Hi-Fi Rush, because this is a balloon that will burst immediately if you release a game that's not good. If you shadow drop like a meh title.
And as an aside, we should burst one balloon. Is Mikami is leaving Tango Gameworks.
Yeah, he's leaving Tango. I think he was waiting to see if Hi-Fi Rush was going to be a success. He's been in the industry for 33 years. He started on Game Boy, like making Who Framed Roger Rabbit on Game Boy for Cat. Maybe he's retiring. I don't know if they stated if he's leaving or retiring.
I think it was just leaving. It wasn't a retirement announcement.
Yeah, but I don't think they said where, if he's going anywhere else. He maybe was just taking time off.
Yeah, that could be possible. Maybe he's gonna go join what's his name in Surf in Hawaii for a little bit.
Oh, Sakaguchi.
Sakaguchi.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, it's sad, but it's also kind of like, I think someone had said, like, he said he wanted to direct one more game before he retired. And
well, it's not going to be Evil Within.
Yeah, maybe morbidly, I'm thinking like he pitched the game and Microsoft said no for some fucking god unknown reason. So he's just like, well, I'm just going to retire. crowdfund or start, upstart, the game I want to make elsewhere, and then just do that and leave. I don't know. Who knows? But like, he's also a person where I'm like, he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. After creating Resident Evil and Remake and then RE4, like the man has like nothing. He has like nothing. Like, he has nothing else to prove to anyone. Like,
yeah,
I started. I got a genre off the ground. I redefined it. I made one of the best best reviewed games of all time. Like,
yeah,
his track record really speaks for itself.
Sad to see him go, but I don't think he has any regrets on it.
Yeah, and I think he also probably wants to avoid a Ghibli situation where like Ghibli could never find anybody as good as Miyazaki or Isao Takahata. Partially, and they know it, and they've kind of like, and they'll even say it themselves. Well, Takahata passed, but like they know that their attitude, like they're kind of responsible for not finding a director. Like they had a director for Whisper of the Heart, but like Miyazaki pushed him to basically working himself to death, and he died like right after the movie came out.
Yeah, every time I hear about Miyazaki behind the scenes, I'm always like, you watch documentaries and he just looks like a kindly old man, but like he must be sort of hell to work for.
Yeah, and he's very, honestly, I think he's very much a James Cameron. But behind the scenes, like he's this crazy, like James Cameron doesn't have a protege because James Cameron is just like this obsessive perfectionist who puts 120% in everything he does and doesn't understand why anyone isn't doing the same as him.
Fucking android. That's why.
So like, yeah, Ghibli has this problem where like there's no one to sort of carry the reins after they retire or after they're gone. And that was in the documentary. Like, well, what do you think is going to happen? And he's like, when you retire or when you die, and he's like, it's all going to fall apart. He's like, I know it. Yeah. It's like we didn't do anything. We didn't do enough to like,
bring somebody up. Going. Yeah, well,
and I think that's what's happening with Tango, where it's like, okay, John Johannes is Hi-Fi Rush has done really well, and then they did have the one lady, a spooky lady. She left before Ghostwire was done, and Mikami had to like finish the game for her. But like, I think he's probably at a point now where he's just like, okay, the studio Tango's in a good place.
I can step away.
It's doing well. Done, right? I can step away. And that happened to the guy who was one of the big producers for Final Fantasy forever. He retired last year, and a lot of people are like, wow, why is he retiring? Like, because Final Fantasy's never been in a better spot. He finally got Final Fantasy to a point where like it's not shit. It's not in development hell. Like I can leave. Like 14's making us all the money in the world. 16 is looking great. Remake, it did super well. It looks like I can leave. Like I can leave. I can leave and say like everything was going great when I left. I did my legacy was not leaving a burning building.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Square might still.
Oh yeah, Square as a company is fucked, but like,
their level, their level of offices are all fine, but fires all around them.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I can kind of see where maybe this is just a situation of like, look, things are looking good. I don't want to leave the company when it's doing bad. I'm going to leave it when it's doing good. Then you never know. You might have your Bob Chapek moment after they leave. Who knows?
Well, we'll see.
That's an industry joke for. Anyways, we're avoiding the subject because honestly, I'll go come out and say this right now. This State of Play was kind of ass. Minus one big, hype center.
There was a couple of things that I was real happy to see. I'm probably something you don't give a shit about, but for me, I liked a lot. Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah,
finally done. I've owned it for like a year or more now.
I didn't know it was Baldur's Gate. I literally saw the thing that said like some camera angles have been adjusted for the trailer. I'm like, oh, this is an overhead piece of shit, isn't it?
No.
then yep, it was like some third person and then like overhead combat. I'm like, yep, and then I'm like, oh my god, that was Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate. I actually like the early version of it that I played. I liked. I like Larian Studios. Like they did the Divinity games or whatever. I like
They
it.
do Divinity as well.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, and I liked that game too. But again, one thing about Baldur's Gate and Divinity, it's in my opinion difficult to play alone. Because the best parts of it are similar to D&D, which is basically what it's modeled off of. You know, it's like playing with friends and like having a recurring game to get through a campaign in Baldur's Gate where everyone meets at the same time for Baldur's Gate. Difficult. Going to be difficult for the average person. So I don't know how this is going to do, but I want Baldur's Gate to do well. The VR stuff, I guess let's start at the top.
Yeah,
the
just
VR
start at the
top.
top.
It all looks like it was made by the same studio.
Yeah. Well, especially the first 3 games in particular. And I was just kind of looking at it, and overall, because they showed 5 games, was the first 4 games, I should say. They all look like PS4 games.
They do.
They all look like base PS4 games. There was 2 fucking games that were shooters with psychic abilities, like back to back, where it was just like shooting and then like psychic throw.
Okay, one is Isaac Asimov's Foundation.
Yeah.
What was the other one called? Because I was writing them down and I missed. It was like Foglands, Green Hell, something, Foundation, and then Before Your Eyes.
Yeah.
And Before Your Eyes looks like it's heartbreaking.
It was Synapses. Synapse or something. And then Isaac Asimov. Whatever. Like Green Hell, I thought was possibly just Ark.
Yeah, I thought it was Far Cry, and then the game after Synapses were made by the Far Cry people.
Oh,
I was like, oh, okay. I thought Green Hell would have been made by the Far Cry people. There's a big thing right now where I guess it's not right now. It's a couple years old, but like survival games, like survival stuff is really big. And it seems like VR is always a few years behind on trend.
Yeah.
And so probably because it's hard to get the money together to make a VR game. I don't know.
Yeah, it is because there just isn't the return on investment there. And to be fair, this is probably why a lot of, like, you could say like the technology is one reason why the games don't look like graphically groundbreaking. But I think another big thing is that they know there's not a large audience. You don't have a lot of people that are buying VR games. Your user base is just minuscule, comparatively speaking.
You're going to be lucky if you make millions. You're never going to look at billions. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably why they don't put a shit ton of money into making the game look super good or whatever, because your user base is just tiny.
Which is too bad, because there is some stuff for VR that, like, the idea is good.
Yeah, here's the thing. I do want to shout out, I think it's called Before Your Eyes, where look graphically, it's like really like low tech.
That looks like a heartbreaking game though.
But I kind of love the idea of like, okay, this is a different idea.
Right.
This is something very, very unique. Something that kind of really feels like it's made for VR. The idea of it is just sort of like blinking and like skipping to different points of your life and just kind of like looking around and sort of like reliving memories. I like that idea. So many VR games sort of devolved into like, Super Hot or whatever, where it's just kind of like psychic power, grabby shit and shooty shit, in first person.
Floaty gun. Yeah.
Floaty gun, grabby shit. And that is honestly like all 4 games before were all that, like exactly that. Even the survival game, Green Hell, which Green Hell probably is a cool idea. Like, okay, yeah, this is like, like your crash landed in the Amazon and you're trying to survive from weirdly proportioned jaguars.
I thought Foglands was kind of a cool idea too. It was like you made some sort of deal with a demon cowboy.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I saw the cards thing. I'm like, is this a roguelike? Is this going to be like, a risk reward thing for every run? I'm like, that's what I'm thinking here.
It feels like it's going to be that. And cool concept. I don't know that I'm not going to be a VR guy. Like a VR, I've tried it a few times and I'm not that guy. So I'm not going to buy VR for any of these games.
Yeah.
Before Your Eyes is an interesting concept, but it could also be done as a point and click. and still be
It could,
powerful.
but I could see where like the VR is a little bit like it like sells the story a little harder.
Okay.
I wish there was a little more budget put into it to sort of like I don't know, just really sell the whole idea. But like let's say I appreciate that the most of the VR stuff because it's like it's trying to actively do something different. Right. Like that's to me, that's like, okay, it's actually trying to do something unique.
I do think one thing you said this is all PS4 games and stuff. There are a few games that like even the ones where the art style was not for me, one thing that I do like is that a lot of these games had stylized
Yeah.
graphics rather than like trying to be photorealistic or, too uncanny valley, that kind of stuff. Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of this will age better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And not to piss off the same people where I was just like, oh yeah, it's DS graphics, but some of them are that like it's like they're not trying at all to push anything. Like just stylized doesn't necessarily mean that you don't push the limits at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it doesn't have to be
There is
photorealistic.
a little bit of assembly line feel a bit to some of
A little bit.
the graphic. I mean, I'll be honest, even with the different art styles and just whatever, like some of it did seem a little like off the same kind of like off the same toolkits almost.
Right.
So yeah, like it was interesting in a sense because like the VR launched yesterday. VR2 came out yesterday, which I forgot about. And this was supposed to be like, okay, here's the games coming forward this year. And they were all, to my knowledge, they're all original IPs. There was no like, hey, here's this big, well-known IP thing. Like you could well, Isaac Asimov is based, there's this one based on a book, I guess, kind of, but that doesn't, it's not really, doesn't mean the same thing. It wasn't because like they launched like I think Horizon is like I think that came out with the VR, but like yeah, you were kind of expecting something like Horizon VR. They announced 2 days like was it a day or two ago RE4 is going to have VR mode. There wasn't.
That's gonna be like the Wii version of the original RE4.
Maybe
I have a feeling that that's what it's gonna be.
I wonder if it's going to be like a full campaign or just a mode. That's the real question.
Oh, maybe.
But either way, like it was interesting that Sony basically kind of like what do we follow up our VR launch with like what's the coming soon projects we show off? A whole bunch of original IP stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
I ain't gonna knock that, but good luck. Mostly just because VR has this uphill battle of it costs $550 on top of the $500 for the system, and that's if you're lucky to live in America because it costs more everywhere else.
Oof. So. Getting out of VR, we then had Destiny 2 Lightfall, which if you're a Destiny fan, looks pretty cool.
Yeah, at first I was like, really? More Disney? I'm like, wait, Sony bought Bungie, of course.
And well, this is the last one. It's the end of Destiny 2 or whatever.
No shit.
Nah. That was part of the thing. They were like experience the beginning of the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So maybe there's more coming, but I don't know. And Bungie always seemed like the type who didn't want to keep going until a franchise was dead. So they must have something coming on in the pipeline.
Well, they also were ones who they didn't want to make Destiny 2 when they did. They wanted to like ride Destiny 1 out longer. But Activision at the time was like, no, Destiny 2 now. It's like you did Destiny and then you did an expansion a year after. And it's like, you need Destiny 2 the next year. And they're like, apparently they didn't want to do Destiny 2 like right away. They wanted to like do Destiny 2 is how they wanted to play out Destiny 1, for a while. Then we do Destiny 2. But Bobby wanted his boats, so
Bobby Kotick, still a villain, the villain we all deserve.
Still a villain.
And then after that, you got Tchia, which looks
Tchia.
It has so many Zelda elements.
Yes,
that like it just feels like someone at Sony called some. They were like, "I want Zelda, I want Breath of the Wild, but I want it on PlayStation." And so I was like, "I got it."
I'm interested in this game.
Fun.
This was actually besides the other big Capcom games, like this was probably the thing I liked the most at the Direct big fucking surprise.
It looks very fun.
Yeah.
I think you must hate that art style, though.
I'm not okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of the way the humans look in the game. Like, not really, not at all.
It has like a very like me look.
Yeah, it does. It really does. But I mean, I like what the game's showing, where it's like it's funny because it literally seems to combine Zelda and Mario Odyssey, where like you mind jack into animals, just like Mario Odyssey, but you're in this sort of Breath of the Wild gameplay world, but in a sort of like tropical Wind Waker, almost, but like definitely way better than Wind Waker. Jesus Christ, because you can actually see below the water. So, like. Yeah, I actually like it. This looks like the very kind of chill kind of game I would just enjoy vegging out and playing. Like I actually don't have I'm a little kind of like, okay, so what do you do in the game? Like,
well, it looks like it's a very Rhyme-esque explore, solve mystery thing. I don't think there's really any combat. It doesn't look like they're hinting at.
I did not see anything like relating to sort of like combat.
Which, okay, you don't need combat for it to be good, but a big ass world like that, if there's no combat, it can't be a long game.
Yeah, well, which makes me wonder. I'm like, okay, so what's the conflict? And what's the resolution to conflict? Like, what do you like? I'm intrigued. I wouldn't say like I'm over the moon necessarily yet. Like, this is something that could turn out to be fucking spectacular, like something I love. Or it could just be something I'm like, well, it was pretty and it was kind of neat, but it maybe kind of left me with a dearth of things to do. She has a slingshot in it, so I know there's that.
So there's something.
And there's a part where she has like armor on, like she has like makeshift like wooden armor. So part of me thinks there definitely has got to be some sort of like conflict, combat, whatever. It's coming out soon. Like, it's been in development forever, but like March 21st comes out
in a month,
right before fucking Resident Evil. But hey, better to be in front than behind it. But yeah, also cross gen as well, of course, because PS4 will never die.
Well, how many people really have PS5s now?
30 million
around the world.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good number. I don't know why they're keeping PS4 alive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because PS4, there's like 100 million people that have it.
Yeah, it was like 115,
and they just don't want to turn off that spigot, boys.
Yeah,
that one's turn it off.
And that game's a day one on their Sony Game Pass, whatever they call it, PlayStation Premium.
Extra premium.
Yeah, extra premium, extra special premium. That's going to be a day one game on their version of Game Pass.
So they don't expect it to do well against RE4.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Then you got Humanity, which is like a dog spirit herds humans to fight.
Yeah, like this weird lemmings fucking puzzle. I don't know. Okay, Andrew. This trailer looks to me. This looks like the game you would see in the lobbies of the LA Convention Center during E3.
Yes.
Where someone would just have like a big fucking like big monitor wall, like right out in front in the lobby areas where you walk between the big halls. And this would just be playing nonstop every day for all 3 days.
This is the game that would have come for free on the 360. This is the game that like they would have just been like, oh yeah, and here's just a small game for the Xbox Live people. What was that called? There was like an Xbox Live.
It was game. Like Hexon or Hexagle or
Yeah, that was a great game. I
played it?
Yeah, I played the shit out of that game.
I never turned it on.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's just like this is that style of game where it's just like it comes free with every Xbox 360 to just.
Now, this seems like we're shitting on the game. I mean, a little bit. This does come from the people who made Tetris Effect, so it's all like, artsy as shit. Has like a custom level creator on it, and all that crap. I don't. Man, I'm sure this is really cool for some people. I really couldn't care less about a game like this.
Well, it's just interesting to me that they would follow up such an icon of mediocrity like Tetris with a game that is interesting, but
I don't know. This is
the battles I am starting over Tetris.
Look, this comes out in May because that's already not enough of a bloodbath of a month, May and June. But This is going to be a game that's going to resonate real fucking hard with a very small core group of people, and everyone else is just going to collectively ignore it for the rest for all time.
It'll be it's a game that's going to be free for PlayStation Plus people in a few months, and then it'll get like a little cult following because it looks fun. It does look fun. It just doesn't look.
It definitely doesn't look stock standard. You can say that. This doesn't look like anything you've really seen before. It's kind of like Lemmings and Pikmin and Choo Choo Rocket and Minecraft and Intelligent Cube and
right. And you're a herding dog,
and you're
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Is it for me?
This game would be significantly less interesting if you weren't a dog. Like if you're just like a floating arrow or an orb, just interacting. Like it would be significantly less interesting.
Yeah, whoever came up with that idea is a genius.
Yeah, like
they were just we'll turn it into a dog.
Yeah, turn it into a dog. That's probably the best thing they could have fucking done for the game.
I'm really hoping that the music is very good.
Yeah, because that
would be another thing that would save a lot of.
I think it will be because of that studio. That's kind of their thing.
Just have good music.
Yeah.
That's May. Oh yes, the game that you're gonna have to play on stream. Goodbye, Volcano High.
No.
What are you talking about? You gotta stream it.
This is you.
It's gonna be so emotional.
This is you. This is Life is Strange furries. Life is furry.
The thing is, though, is you got to play it dead serious. If I play it, I'm going to be making fun of it. And if there's a dog to kill,
I cannot not make fun of this game. Look at.
Yeah, you got to play it so serious.
No, this game was announced at the launch. Remember when they had the PlayStation 5 announcement?
Oh, that's why it looks familiar.
Yes, because it was announced when they announced the PlayStation 5, and then there was like immediately controversy came out from the developers. Like immediately came out like something terrible had happened with the person. Like the head developer of the game or the director or the writer or something.
Yeah, they made this game.
Yeah, and then the game disappeared and we all kind of thought it was canceled. Because I was just like, oh yeah, like there's like this huge not huge because it's this game, but but yeah, like it survived and I guess I don't even know what to say about this. It's fucking Daria with dinosaurs.
It's a rhythm game mixed with like a comic game, like
it's Life is Strange with like some rhythmic elements. Okay, how do you describe Goodbye Volcano High? It's a game about humanoid anthropomorphic dinosaurs going to high school before the meteor hits, and they're in a band and they want to do something, as a group, before they all have to say their goodbyes at graduation. What the?
Look, if it came out in the 80s, you'd just be trying to get laid before the world ended.
So wasn't there a movie about that?
Like, I don't know, but probably.
No, there's a movie
came out in the 80s.
The movie about a guy who can't lie, or the movie the movie where the
invention of lying.
The invention of, like, the guy could say anything, like, and everyone believe him, right? Like I remember that. There was like this. It was like this movie just about like a guy who. Everyone would believe everything he said 100%. So he would like walk up and he's like, there's a comet coming. The world's about to end. That's why I remember this is the comet coming. He's like, there's a comet coming. The world's going to blow up. You have to have sex with me right now. Okay. Do we have time? Like, that's all I remember from like the trailer was just like, wow, that.
Yeah. Cause isn't it like Ricky Gervais or something?
Oh yeah. That makes it even better.
Right. So Goodbye Volcano High. All right. It's, there's an audience for that. Naruto X Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storms something
collection.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of like all 4 or 5 Naruto games they've made.
And more new characters. And if you love Naruto, you're going to get so hard for this game because it looks cool.
I guess the only thing I'm curious about is like because it's a compilation game. Is that more exciting or less exciting? Like, if you're a fan of these games, like, does the fact that they're just sort of combining a bunch of rosters together in a big game, does that excite you that much? Or is it sort of kind of like, well, is it more of a bummer because it's not a whole brand new game? I don't know.
Well, I was thinking of it in the sense of like if you have characters that you really loved from different rosters, and you're like, oh, I wish I could fight with this guy against that roster. Like now you can, and I think that's kind of that's got to be cool, especially if you like a character from Naruto specifically, like, but isn't into like the later roster, or God help you, like a Boruto character, and you wanted to fight a Naruto character. You know, I could get that. It's got like a Power Stone vibe to that game. That's like the
Well, it's an
combat.
arena. It's an arena fighter.
Yeah, is that what Power Stone would be called? It's like an arena fighter. It'd be like
well, like it kind of is, but it's like one of the earliest versions of it. But like I don't know,
progenitor of it.
It's very small arenas in Power Stone. Power Stone was it's more
yeah,
like
you could like
weird
jump
brawler.
off walls and yeah.
Arena fighters are like they're like very wide arenas. There's not really because Power Stone's all about interactivity with the environment. There's none of that in these arena fighters.
Oh, okay.
So,
but it still looks cool if you've always wanted to fight and show off your jutsus, your ninja way. Then Baldur's Gate 3, which apparently I'm the only person that was excited by that.
No, there's definitely going to be a ton of people who are like, jonesing for some Baldur's Gate. Some
6 other guys just amped in August.
Jonesing for some ugly as fuck. Oh my god, like the shot where like there's something very weird about the I don't know if they're the dwarves or gnomes, but like there's something very odd about the way they look. Where like he's playing the violin and I don't know. I just was like, what the fuck is going on with? I don't know.
You're a hater. You're a hater of the little people.
No, it's not even that. It's just like it doesn't. It looks like they just. It just looks like someone fucked around on the character creator slider, and then just like fucked the portions.
Made them wider than they are tall. That's a dwarf.
I don't know. It looks weird. Doesn't look like Lord of the Rings. Let's just put it that way.
Then we got Wayfinder, which the only thing I remember about it is that it's before the 2 exciting things.
It's an MMO, which ballsy, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's an MMO where you're going through a fantastical land and like you can make certain dungeons harder.
Yeah, you basically have like modifiers to like dungeon raids. Absolutely nothing about this game. I mean, it's made by Airship Syndicate, which is basically the old ex Darksiders people.
Okay.
Or at least in collab. So that's why it looks like Joe Mad art, which people will say this looks like a Warcraft game or it looks just like Blizzard art. I'm like, let's be real here. Joe Mad is the progenitor of this art style, which Blizzard copied whole fucking sale and made super popular. But this is like, it's kind of funny. It's almost, I don't know if it's frustrating in a way, but it's like this Western animated art style. This is Joe Mad style art, and this is Joe Mad Studio. So that's why it looks like Blizzard, because Blizzard's been aping this shit wholesale. But I don't really have much to say other than it's an MMO in 2023, which means I'm out.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know what audience it's going to find, but the thing is I'm not hating on the game. I just it wasn't very memorable to me.
Did it look bad? No.
No.
Did it look like it was a solid game? It probably is. You tell me, hey, here's this new MMO to dedicate your life to, and I'm just like, I can't.
And none of the characters seemed memorable to me.
I was only a little shocked that an American developed game was still doing battle armor bikini.
What are you talking about?
Granted, the chick was all like ripped and shredded as hell, so it wasn't just like like some supermodel they threw in the battle armor bikini, but it was like some big fucking barbarian, warrior. So it's like cool, but I'm almost surprised we're going someone's still doing that.
What if I'm in the middle of combat and my nipples get chafed? The fuck out of here. Of course I'm going to wear the bikini. The fuck out of here. But then we get into SF6, Street Fighter 6, some new characters.
Yeah, so this was kind of like, oh man, like I was dying at this point.
It was pretty
like in the trailer. I was like, oh man, this direct is woof. And then like, all right, here's some Capcom shit. I'm like, all right.
It was pretty hype.
Zangief looks like Zangief. They really should have showed the dash canceling where you can cancel out of a move into another move, because like everyone who played the beta is like, Zangief is going to be a fucking terror in this game, because he's going to do like the palm fist and then dash cancel out of that into like, so he's going to get mobility. Basically, Zangief is going to slide across the arena real quick to grab you now. And they didn't show that. They mostly, for all their characters, they mostly just showed like special moves, super moves, you know, finishers, stuff like that. They didn't really EX stuff. They didn't show a lot of like combo tech, you know, like nitty gritty stuff. It was mostly just the really flashy looking stuff. And hey, it's the reveal of the characters, you know, of course, show them the flashy stuff. But like Zangief looks good. Lily was a new character, like related to T-Hawk somehow. Doesn't play anything like T-Hawk. I actually really liked her. I liked because she looks like a little fast, little rush down. Looked rushed. I can't really tell. You know, what do I know? But
that I'm blanking on the name of that particular type of weapon. But God, those weapons are so hardcore.
Yeah, like, and she's actually a weapon fighter.
Yeah.
I guess that's okay because she's so small. But she definitely looks small and annoying and quick, which I'm all about. Rush down. So yeah, I'm actually really excited to play her. And then they showed Cammy so that the Rule 34 artists can put bread on their table.
Yeah. Anybody out there who doesn't love Cammy, you're a liar.
So yeah, Cammy's in the game. She looks cool. Looks like she can like. It almost, someone was saying, like, pointed out. It almost looks like she's doing Rekka's, where it's like she did like one move EX into another move like right away. So she like connected two moves together. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, it could have also just been editing. You know,
could have just been editing. I only watched the trailer once. I was more intrigued by the background of the stage, which was like a London stage. It looked like the CVS2 London stage, but at nighttime. And of course, that's where my brain's going. Like, yeah, it's the CVS2 stage at night. It's not really, but like kind of.
So how many characters have they announced now then?
I think that's the roster. I think
that's the full roster now.
I think there's 18 at launch, 16, 18 at launch.
Oh, it's not bad though.
That's the launch roster, and there's still other characters, I think.
Well, five had a much smaller launch roster, right?
Yeah. Well, there is the leak list, and the leak list definitely has more characters. I don't know if like Akuma and Rashid and stuff. I don't know if they're coming at launch or not. It's hard to say. They didn't say this was the last of them. They didn't, so we don't really know. I think there wasn't a statement saying how many would be at launch. I think this is it, because like they had that after the leak. They literally put out the intro for the game. The really stylized intro with all like the graffiti slogans and words. Like the words are captioned on the graffiti as the announcer's saying them. And I think this was the last of them. I think this was the last of those intro people that was officially released. Because basically Capcom was, they actually did it right. When that big leak came out, Capcom said, hey, you know what? Yep, this is
you got me.
Where it's like, we're not going to pretend like you saw something. You saw something too early. We really didn't want you to see this, but hey, yeah, whatever, fuck it, this is it. Like, yeah, fuck it. Like this is who's coming. And then they put out the intro, like the what do they call it, the attract mode, where like the arcade would just play a flashy intro screen to get you to come over to the machine. So they just released the intro early for the full game. We're like, yeah, here's the intro. It has all the characters that were in the league. You know it. So we're not going to pretend you don't know what's coming. So
that's the way you handle a leak, though. Use the hype to build more hype.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, well, okay, you saw this shit early, but yeah, we'll reveal them in due time. But by the way, here's the intro anyway. Since you know, might as well show you this now.
I think that was a real smart move.
Yeah.
They followed up that, which was probably the hypest moment, with RE4 remake, and we saw the island. We saw, it looked like Luis was on the island, didn't it?
Yes, Luis lives a lot longer. I don't know if he was on the island. He was in the minecart. He was in the dual El Gigante fight with the lava room pit. Right. Like, he survived way long into that game.
Because I was having like this weird moment where I was like, am I not remembering the original right? Like, he was dead before all this.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So they are changing that kind of stuff.
Which good. That's a good thing to change for remake. This trailer solidified a whole lot of shit for me. This was the trailer I fucking needed for this game, because it was like so many things that I wrote off saying this won't be in the game. They're going all dark and it is dark and serious, and I do not like the mood of the game too much, but I am willing to just be like, okay, whatever. Let's have a scary, moody RE4. Why not? I've played the original game 11,000 times. Like, let's just have a scary moody version of it.
If Luis is going to live that much longer into the game, though, God, I sort of would like a co-op mode.
Right, because he was in like the area, like the mine area, where you fight like a chain. It's a Bella sister chainsaw now, not Dr. Salvador, but like he was in there. It's the area where you have to put the dynamite on the rock to blow it up. Then you go and fight the 2 El Gigantes right after that, which he was in the room for that. But
so
even
let's just say speculatively, what if they did that? That'd be pretty fucking cool.
Right? Like if there was a co-op mode. Yeah, I would be too. I'd actually be fine if Lewis just lived this time. Like I expect him to die, but like I'm actually excited by the fact that I'm like, Isma made a good point where it's like they probably spent way too much time building that character model and getting a voice. Because like if you think about how much is Lewis in the original game, not a ton. He's in that cabin sequence and not much else after that, right? Like that's his big moment. And he shows up in a couple scenes. He says like, "Oh shit, I forgot it." And then he's like, "Leon, I got it." Penis stab, immediately.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, they probably looked at this model like, we're spending way too much time making this character. Let's use him more. Like, why not? You have to program the AI for the cabin sequence. Might as well just have him in other parts of the game. And I agree with this. I agree. I think this is a good change.
It also, I do too. And it also looks like they expanded Ashley's parts.
Yes.
And her parts are going to be terrifying, especially if you still can't fight back. I'm getting kind of hyped for the changes.
Yeah. Yeah, the trailer was super well done. This is exactly what you needed. I'm like, hey, here's original areas you remember. Here's some other stuff. The suplex is still in the game.
Krauser's still in the game.
Krauser's still in the game. You now have you're now like actually knife pairing him like in game rather than in a cutscene. Which that's a cool change. I can be down with that. They showed a thing where you can duck. So in the original game, if someone's chucking a fucking scythe at you, you kind of just have to like get out of the way or like just eat it. But they added a duck, because you could duck. There were a couple moments in the original game where you could be in front of like a sandbag or something, and there's an option to duck behind it and pop up and duck behind it like Time Crisis. But this one looks like you can duck like anywhere now. Like I don't know if it was a QTE prompt or if it's just like just a button press where it's just like a duck button. But yeah, he could duck out of the way of a thrown axe at him. I really like the elevator part where you're going up to the part where like you throw the knife into Salazar's hand and you go up that elevator, and then he does this thing where he immediately parries one of the zealots and then roundhouse kicks him. So parry is not the same as roundhouse kick. Like, so he parries, roundhouses, and then goes back to shooting, and I'm like, awesome. So it's like it's more defensive mechanics and mobilities.
I mean, I really like that they're adding that in. I hope they don't go as far as like 6 did, where it's just like there's a bunch of hidden stuff that you have to like figure out. Like, I hope they don't do that.
I can't imagine that's going to be a thing.
But overall, real excited about it. And they were like, "Oh, demo soon." I don't know how soon means.
Yeah, that's frustrating because the game's out in a month,
right? So it must be like in a week or 2,
right?
Because they want to keep building hype for this.
The minecart sequence is still in the game.
Yeah.
Like the two things that blew my mind, I'm like, wait, the minecart's in it and it's bigger, and Lewis is with you in the minecart, which is way later in the game, by the way.
Yeah, I honestly,
from when he dies normally. The minecarts, and then Mike the helicopter pilot is still in the game.
Still there. Sorry, traffic.
He has the same line. He's like a really weird new voice actor, but like he's like, "The bad traffic." He has like this Capcom like 90s arcade and like voice now.
Which I don't know. I'm down with it. The other thing is I'm excited to see is like those last I'm forgetting their names, but those last like zombie uber zombie things that you have to
the
shoot.
the regenerators.
Regenerators. Like I'm excited to see how that looks modernized. Because they look goofy in the original. Like they're scary until you see them in the light, and then you're like, all right, it's sort of a schlubby dude with big teeth.
Yeah.
But like, and they could make it real scary. I'm also sort of like, are there going to be new weapons? And are you?
I have to analyze the
them
trailer, but like they do have both the attaché case and a
quick select,
key. Hotkey thing, like a cross. I'm like, okay, cool. He had that red 9 when he was in the minecart and he blew up the there's a part of the minecart where like there's 4 tracks next to each other and he like blows up the other one with the
so there's gonna be a lot, and I hope there's a lot of weapon customization, stuff like that. And again, I don't know. I got hopes. I got hopes that there's like a co-op.
This is looking really good. Like
it is, yeah. It's really exciting.
They didn't say it in the trailer, but I found it on their blog. The Mercenaries is not at launch. It is a It is post launch DLC. It will be free, but that kind of tracks. Like, if anything, that's like the one kind of like disappointment thing that I was expecting to be disappointed with, and that did happen. Where it's like, yeah, there's not going to be a mercenary mode, but there will be, but it won't be at launch. Which, a bummer, but whatever. Once it comes out, I won't care. You won't care once it's actually out. You're only going to care for like however long it takes.
Right.
Hopefully not as long as Reverse. Holy shit.
Well, everyone thought Reverse was canceled, so
yeah.
I do expect that there's going to be some like $5 characters expansions and stuff like that. I sort of see that coming.
They say it'll be available as a free post-launch DLC, but you're right. They like the Mercenaries is free, but we're gonna add other characters after, and then
you want Wesker? Nah, $5. Pay up. $8.
I think it would be fun if they even if it wasn't at launch, but post-launch, to add a co-op new game plus.
That would be cool. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Because like, oh well, it doesn't make sense for Leon and Lewis to be there at the start of the game. Yeah, but what if you make it just like new game plus?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, especially because they could have like a real buddy cop, relationship. I would dig that. And then they ended on 15 minutes of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Well, no, actually, I thought it looks fun. It does look fun. I don't know why it needed 15 minutes.
I also don't know if they were putting their best foot forward by showing them like constantly like shoot the purple weak spot a whole lot.
Right.
Like there are moments where it's just like, Deadshot or Boomerang just hovering in the air, just like in and in, shooting the same big purple wart on the back of a turret, and then they blow it up. Like, yeah, I love explosions. It's like,
yeah, I wonder how sped up everything is and stuff, and like them cutting together their different lines. Like, how many lines are they going to have? Or is it going to be those lines over and over again?
Yeah, and hopefully it's not like Forspoken where it's constant. Like, that's also another thing to worry about. And everyone looked like they played the same. That was the thing everyone in my chat was kind of saying, was like, everyone kind of looks like the same float and shoot dude.
Yeah, like they made it so that everyone has a way to fly. Harley looks like the most fun to move around using.
Yeah, like she's like the quickest and everything. Yeah,
and she does acrobatics, and like she like uses a whip to attach to a flying hawk thing. It looks like that's how she does her movement. Boomerang looks kind of fun to move around.
He's got tracer shit where he like literally warps to places. He nightcrawler shit.
Right, and then they tried to say King Shark is like the melee guy, but he's big ass
fucking flying around with a minigun. He's still flying
nothing
in air
is more terrifying than a flying shark.
That's true.
Like, I can't think of, Cocaine Bear. I'm going to go see that. Maybe that's more terrifying. If you had to choose between being stuck in water with a shark, not necessarily hungry, or stuck on land with a bear on cocaine, I don't know which one I'd choose. I guess shark.
I might choose the shark.
I might choose the shark. At least the mauling you're going to get from a shark will be pretty quick. That'd just bite you in half.
Yeah.
Bear's going to fuck your world. I don't know. I thought that was cool. And then there's a battle pass with cosmetics only.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard this song and dance when they announced Avengers.
Well, this is Rocksteady, so
let me just put this out. I'm Ron Burgundy. I don't believe you.
I don't believe you. Wait, I want to give Rocksteady benefit of the doubt. There's like a weird thing. Have you noticed that like none of the characters, like they kept trying to highlight differences in the characters, like how different each character is? But then every time they cut to him, oh yeah, King Shark uses big words, but otherwise all their reactions are similar. All their they're all amped to be here, pretty much. They're all amped to do whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I'm a bad guy. Shoot shit. Yeah.
Right. I was like, it just feels like in previous Rocksteady games, there was a good amount of like character differentiation. You know, there was like and that was sort of not here. So I'm hoping that was just an effect of the trailer of seeing it all back to back to back. But we'll see.
Can we say how much the director looks like he's cosplaying Clark Kent?
What was he?
Oh my god, dude! I don't think he was. I think it was just like a sort of. It just happened that way. He was the guy with the glasses and like the comb back hair.
I really loved the way Superman and Wonder Woman looked in the game, though. I thought Wonder Woman looked cool as hell.
I will say this. This is kind of like maybe this is like being a little awkward, but like the whole thing where it's like, you have to kill us, Lois or Diana. You have to kill all of us. So I'm like, okay, Rocksteady, you're not seriously going to have people go out and kill Batman when it's Kevin Conroy's last performance, right?
Oh, if it's me, I would.
Like,
I wouldn't adjust that. No, you're the bad guys. You kill the Justice League.
You're not really gonna. Are we really gonna do this for this man's last performance before he died? You're gonna.
Yes, because then you get Batman's last words.
That seems in really poor taste. I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna happen anyways. There was some fucking leak from someone who basically spoiled the whole story. I don't think it's true. I'd have to look it up again. But like, I think it'd be really poor taste if it was. They've just made this big like rah thing out of like murdering Batman on this actor's last performance of the character.
You're planning his villains. Do not cop out. Kill the Justice League. Suck it up. They are not tricking you. You don't
see the poor taste in this for the actor.
No, the actor plays a part, and his character will get last words, which is something that like nobody gets. Like very few people get to do that, especially for their lifetime characters. I do not think it is in poor taste to kill the Justice League in a game called Kill the Justice League. What I do think is poor taste is if they bring you all the way up to the moment, and because it's heroes, they're all like, oh, but actually, denouement, you actually don't kill them, and Deus Ex Machina, you don't have to kill them. Somehow, they end up saving the day.
I don't remember the leak. I don't know if it was ever confirmed or not, if it was real or not. I just remember that like some die, some don't.
Which, yeah, I mean, how are you really going to kill Superman? Kryptonite is rare. Yes, in the Superman comics, fucking everybody has it, but Kryptonite is rare. Suicide Squad's not just going to get a hold of someone. But I do think it'll be such a cop-out if you don't kill them.
So you want them all to die. They want them all to get killed.
They should die.
That's not happening.
Or everyone on the Suicide Squad should die. Evil Superman ripping someone on the Suicide Squad in half. You get all the way to the end, you beat the game, and the ending is just Superman mercilessly killing all of you. That's pretty cool, too. Get dark. That's the point of Suicide Squad. Even the animated films are dark.
I don't think they'll do that.
I think they're weak.
Well, I think there's someone at WB that literally goes, no, you can't ever do that. You can't ever visually show us like murdering Superman or
what whatever. Are they fucking Marvel? Get out of here. Let Marvel be weak. Do something strong. All right.
I don't know. Like
their own universe.
All that aside, does it look like a game I would play and buy? No.
Yeah,
it looks like a game I will try on Game Pass.
And again, if there's couch co-op, especially, it'll be a lot of fun. But we don't really do split screen couch co-ops anymore, so I don't see that happening. But I do like a good co-op game if you're hanging out with some people and you're just like, I just
yeah,
wanna...
absolutely.
So it is a game that I could see myself playing in that regard.
I
But
just
I'm
don't
not
see
gonna play it
myself
single
going.
player. I'm not gonna...
Yeah, I just don't see myself dropping $70 on this thing, and like hoping
Maybe because it's
I can get a score.
Rocksteady. Like Rocksteady does good stuff, so
It's been a long time since they released a game.
that's true. That is
But
true.
it is also true that they've also been their last 3 games were really good. So,
yeah, they haven't really had a fuck up, really. So it's like, Rocksteady. There is value to their name, or at least their brand, right now.
right now, yeah,
It does look like they toned down the violence, though,
yeah,
doesn't it? Like a little bit. Like they toned it down. Like there's
yeah,
no... I guess there wasn't ever going to be gore or anything, but they don't. You're hitting a dude with a sword and he just falls over.
yeah. Well, they're also going to be like Brainiac zombies,
Right.
And shit like I don't like Brainiac. I think Brainiac's a lame fucking villain, personally.
We're ending on a real
And
high
they
note.
literally did this plot in Injustice 2. I'm like, this. It looks the same too. It even looks like the same time. Maybe that's like a patented Brainiac look now to their shit. I don't know. Like the game looks like Injustice 2, but it's a third-person shooter. I think Darkseid would have been way fucking cooler. And having just parademons everywhere and parademons like ripping people in half and shit.
Oh yeah, but that would have been in poor taste.
Well, the thing is I'm talking about like someone who literally actually died in real life versus a video game.
Right.
Like I don't know, just Darkseid to me would have been a cooler villain to go up against other than a fucking robot.
Yeah, I mean, but now you gotta fight. You gotta fight Superman.
I mean, Darkseid's brainwashed Superman too. I don't know. This is my DC. This is my DC nerddom coming out. Where I'm just like, Brainiac's lame.
And on that note, we have patrons to thank. The name of the episode is like 376 Brainiac's lame.
I'm gonna call it that.
All right.
The people are gonna be like, what the fuck is this about?
The last 15 minutes of the episode are all about how Brainiac sucks cocks.
Brainiac's lame.
If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week was P1 Felchin. Let us know if we're saying your name right or wrong. I think that's right. I think Felchin is how you pronounce it. And our producers for this episode are the Schmidt One, Scrunami, Croy35, Hyperviper89, Ziggy Z, and Online Persona. Thank you, dudes, and we will catch you next time.
Later, dudes.